Hi everybody, it's 314 Reactor here. Today we're going to be looking into Counter-Strike 2 and its graphics. The gaming world was abuzz when Valve announced that Counter-Strike, one of the most legendary and impactful games of its time, was getting a proper sequel. Although technically it's Counter-Strike 3, but I guess Valve still can't count to 3. Today we're diving deep into the graphics of Counter-Strike 2, powered by, of course, the Source 2 engine. Now, I was going to be doing a mini review of Cyberpunk 2.0 and Phantom Liberty, but I don't feel I've got enough time with that yet. I want to try and get a bit more experience, get a bit more of a nuanced video on it, so I may leave that for another week, or maybe even another 2 weeks. So for now, we're going to be looking at some CS2. Let's go into the settings menu and check out the video settings. So I'm running at 4K, 144Hz. I'm of course running this on a Ryzen 7 7700X with 32GB of RAM, and an RTX 4090 with 24GB of VRAM. So under the advanced video settings, we have everything on very high. We've got multi-sampling and anti-aliasing set to 8 times MSAA, which is the absolute highest it will go. There's no DLSS in this, which I think is because DLSS can result in some not quite accurate to the pixel depictions of what's actually happening in a game like this, where it could come down to pixel accuracy, where someone gets shot or something. I think that's why that's not in it. Shadow quality at very high, model detail very high, anisotropy filtering at 16, shaded details at high, particle detail very high, ambient occlusion is at high dynamic range is at quality, and there is Fidelity FX super resolution. And of course, because FSR is a spatial technique, there's not much room for AI interpretation, which means the sort of pixel accuracy of what's going on is not so much of an issue with it. We won't really be checking this out because it just made the game look worse to me and didn't really improve my frame rates, but we will be looking at some of the different anti-aliasing modes, because there is a mode here called CMAA 2, which I'm interested to take a look at. And of course we do have Nvidia Reflex low latency. I am not a very good Counter-Strike player at all. I barely pass as a casual. I'm absolutely terrible at this game, so we are going to be playing on casual practice. We're going to be looking through the maps with no bots just to check out the graphics, but we will do a bit of bot action later. So first of all, let's dive into the map, Mirage. Alrighty, so here we are in Mirage, where already we can see the pre-baked lighting. Looks absolutely incredible, very, very clean. So I think all the shadows here and the lighting here have all been pre-computed offline using ray tracing. So you get that kind of ray tracing look, but without the FPS impact. I think there's also some light mapping stuff going on here to inform sort of what color the weapons should be and models should be as they go through this in real time. Gives a really clean look to some of the shadows, the global illumination. The shadowing in this area looks really nice, and because there's no flashlights in this game and the time of day never changes, it's fine. It's not really noticeable, which is essential for a game like this because this is all about the FPS. So you can see we're running about 250, 260 FPS, so it's really, really smooth, 4K, everything maxed out, so it feels quite optimized. That's an old Half-Life 2 asset, I think, that paint can. So yeah, you can see there's some ambient occlusion here on the movable items, and the shadowing on that isn't so convincing, but these items are quite few and far between. And here we see some nice lighting coming through here, the green lighting coming through. I believe this is all pre-computed, and then I reckon there'll just be a light map to inform what color the gun should be under here. So your gun is green there and a bit more red under here. It's just been pre-baked in. And again, some more Half-Life 2 detritus assets there, which are always comforting to see nearly 20 years later. There's some of the floor here, which is the shiny sort of normal mapped with specular map floor. This is very similar to that classic floor in one of the dust maps in the original Counter-Strike Source. So it's always good to see that as well. You can actually see there's some real-time shadowing here from these palm trees. So it's not all pre-computed. And obviously you can see the shadow from the character here as well. Some slight more physics interactions around here, but doesn't really impact much. And you again just see the real-time shadowing on these things, which isn't so impressive. But again, they're so small it doesn't really matter that much. And here we have just a little bit of environmental interaction, which opens up another area to go through, which allows for a bit more of the dynamic gameplay. Again, not really going to be looking into too much gameplay because I don't really know a lot about Counter-Strike in terms of playing it, and I would just be terrible. This map gives a general idea of just how clean the lighting is, but there's much more interesting things to see, so let's head on to the next map, and that is Overpass. Again, here we are, same story, a very, very clean, nice pre-baked lighting. Really nice normal mapping there. And the textures aren't the most high resolution textures ever, but that's fine. It makes sense that it's not going to be too demanding, because this is meant for competitive play, of course. But they are still quite nice textures. Again, some nice normal mapping there. Real-time shadowing there. And I can see the quality of the shadows dropping as I move away. You can see them get a bit more blurry. That one on the slide there. Move away, it becomes more blurry. Comes forward, gets more detailed. So I think the shadow map resolution is being lowered the further we go away from it. But I think the ones on the floor here, which should be pre-baked, don't do that. I think. Unless it's just not noticeable. Or are they though? I think they are getting a bit more fuzzy the further you go back. It could be that just everything is being shadow mapped in real time over the baked lighting, or there's a mix of baked shadows and baked lighting and real-time shadows and real-time lighting. Again, stuff like this isn't interactable, so I don't know why you wouldn't pre-bake that unless there's not much performance gain. Obviously you got the specular as you go around there that moves, and of course you do need the shadow on the gun, so maybe that does have to be done in real time, unless there's the way to bake that as well. I don't know. Fairly certain the lighting has been baked though, and the ambient occlusion has been baked on the static objects, because it does look very, very clean. We've got some nice reflections here. They use cube maps, which doesn't result in perfect reflections, obviously. You've got some reflections that just don't physically make sense, but it's good enough for the job, and it means you don't have SSR with things going off screen. I always love the Counter-Strike games just for wandering around looking at the graphics. There's something very pleasing about them. All the way from Gold Source to Source, Source 2. And here we see the new Source 2 Water. Really nice cube map on there. Specular. Water caustics. With like a prism effect. We'll see more of that later. See a bit of the water interactivity here. See, areas like this, you can just see the softness of the shadowing. Like under here, very, very soft shadowing. Yeah. It's interesting to see what's interactable and what's not. Slight GI going on there, I think, with the green of the leaves bouncing off that wall. Some nice particle effects. Really, really nice stuff. There's a glass flying out. There's also bullet holes, which have got more detail on them now. I can't remember if that was in CSGO or not. Didn't play too much CSGO, to be honest. Nice to see those bullet holes. I think it's parallax occlusion mapping. Very similar to what was used back in Fear, I believe, to make it look like there's actual depth to the holes. Look at those metal bullet holes as well. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's really nice. The effect falls a little bit apart as you go to a harsh angle on it, but that looks damn good. We've come a long way from the old bullet holes of Half-Life 2. And then there's some sparks you see coming out of this. Again, similar tail in the dirt here. And the tiling. It's really, really nice. It just seems like every surface reacts in the way you think it would when you shoot it. And it looks great. 218 FPS here. Let's switch to CMAA 2. So here we are with CMAA 2 on, and we've gone up to about 380 FPS. Now CMAA is Conservative Morphological Anti-Aliasing, which is a technique that was originally developed by Philip Strugar at Intel for use in Grid 2 by Codemasters, and it's supposed to be a high-performance alternative to MSAA, while also addressing concerns with stuff like post-processing techniques, which makes sense because they can be quite blurry. Looks like it's positioned between FXAA and SMAA 1X, in computation cost. It's a bit much to go into here, but just reading on it, it just seems essentially like it's an algorithm to determine the edges of polygons and apply an anti-aliasing technique to them in a way that's far more cost effective than MSAA. I'll put a link in the description to go over it more. I need to look into it more myself. But the main takeaway is that it looks pretty good while giving you a whole bunch of extra FPS. So we've gone up over 100 FPS here, and the image still looks pretty good. It's not quite as good as MSAA, it's not quite as clean, especially in the leaves up there. So there's a bit more shimmering in areas like the fencing there, more complicated areas of geometry like the leaves and trees. But if you just needed to get more FPS out of it, but needed to keep a clean image, if you're streaming or in a competition or something, then this would be a great way to go. We can do a quick comparison between no AA, so that's 388 FPS with CMAA 2. Let's switch to 0 AA. So this is with no AA whatsoever, and it's 399 FPS. And then we go back to CMAA 2X. Image gets a bit more cleaned up. And is that still the same frame rate? 390 FPS here. Let's turn MSAA off. 393 FPS. Let's turn CMAA 2 back on. 390 FPS. Wow. Is that like a 2-3 FPS cost? That's crazy. So yeah, you're getting quite a bit of a cleaner image and taking the harshness off a lot of those edges for only a few FPS cost, at least on a 4090. Wow. Let's turn MSAA 8X back on and see what the impact of that is. Yeah, down to 207 FPS. So yeah, I mean, obviously MSAA is going to have a hell of an impact on your frame rate, but that's pretty crazy. Because that's not bad. CMAA 2 is not bad. Let's see what MSAA 2X looks like and how it performs in this area. So we've got 238 FPS here. We've got about 360 FPS here. Looks quite smooth. And then CMAA 2X. Or CMAA 2, I should say. It's not 2X. And yeah, about 394. And it looks pretty much comparable. Maybe a little bit worse than 2X MSAA. But you're getting a whole 30 extra frames. Like I said, if you're streaming or viewing a competition, you're not really going to notice that too much over the video compression. Probably going to be hard to notice over this YouTube video. So yeah, let's crank the AA back to 8X. Really, really interesting. Anyway, let's move on to the next map. Here we are on Vertigo. You can see the art style that they've gone for here, where it's not too gritty and ultra realistic like Tarkov or anything like that, but it's not too cartoony either. It's got a nice balance, I think, because obviously I think this game is probably going to last for the better part of this decade in terms of competitions and just generally being the main Counter-Strike game, given how long that CSGO went on for 11 years. So they need to make sure that it doesn't age horribly. I suppose they can swap the graphics out as it goes, but generally the art style is going to remain the same. And I can see this as being an art style that's still going to look clean and nice even in a decade. So probably not too much to see on this map. Just a bit more seeing the bullet holes in different materials, which looks really cool. Really nice skybox. I think that's the classic Valve 3D skybox out there. And then the distant one is more probably a 2D skybox beyond that. I think the clouds in the sky move as well, which is really nice. I found CSGO wasn't so... I found it not so great to walk around and just enjoy the graphics, but this one and Source, something about them. Just very clean, very nice. Will that cone reach the bomb? That is a long way down. That is a really long way down. It's still falling. There's no way that cone is still falling. There we go, it eventually landed. Wow, oh my god. I think we can move on to the next map, which is where things are going to get really interesting. Next map is Ancient. So this map is where it really starts to look nice. Really nice lighting. Again, that pre-baked lighting just looks absolutely gorgeous. And you can kind of tell it's pre-baked there, I believe, because the sun isn't really dynamically coming through those leaves. But it does look like the sun's coming through those leaves, but as you go through it... Yeah, so I think that is pre-baked. That's not real-time diffusing that light through those leaves. It's not semi-permeating it, really. It's just been pre-computed. But as we go around this map, we can see the lighting change to the internal areas. Again, some of that really nice shiny floor. Love that effect. Really nice textures there as well. Again, this is one of those things where maybe some of these lights aren't pre-baked, because yeah, obviously it's creating that shadow. Because there's always a shadow from the sun, which I imagine is pre-baked, but I guess you can just do that with a simple direction of where the shadow should be going, and then just pre-compute the rest of the lighting, I believe. Could be wrong on that. I'm sure I've heard that this is a lot of pre-baked lighting, and if it's not, it's very, very clean real-time lighting in rasterization. And again, these areas here, looks like some GI. Again, it's not too gritty, it's not too real, but it's not too cartoony either. So it just looks really great. It's really fun to just walk around and look at the different materials. That's another thing I think has evolved quite a bit, is the materials, like stone and mud, stuff like that. It all looks really good, all responds really well to the gunshots. But here's where we get to some really fun stuff. Again, more water effects. Also, a really cool effect of moving the moss out of the way. And the moss grows back, or at least moves back. So you can sort of cut a path through it. Along with the absolutely amazing water rippling effect as you disturb the water surface. And again, some more water caustics there. Feels like a level out of Tomb Raider 3. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Love that sort of interaction. Love how that water looks. Look at that. Sound effects are really nice as well. Look at that. So clean. So relaxing as well. Don't know why, it's just very relaxing walking around these maps. Ooh, look at that. Look at that nice shadow there. And the lighting. Ooh, it's a shame there isn't a DLSS mode just for offline, because this would make it look even better. Okay, let's head on to the next map, which is Inferno. Already, this map looks absolutely gorgeous just on first look, but what we really want to check out is the new smoke effect quickly. So, when you throw a smoke grenade, it's now a voxel-based smoke system, which you can now shoot holes through, and you can even see a bit of smoke coming off the character as they walk through it. And if you throw a frag grenade into that, it will disperse the smoke completely. So you can now shoot holes through it and get a little bit of visibility through it. Now, of course, that's great for gameplay, but it's also just a really cool technological thing. And I hope to see more of that as well. It certainly looks a lot better than most smoke I've seen in games. Not perfect, it still looks a little artificial, it even looks a little bit cartoony, but just the technology behind it, very cool. In terms of this map, the lighting looks absolutely gorgeous, the textures look gorgeous, especially as you move into these inner areas. Look at that. Beautiful. Really, really beautiful. Some more of that lovely water here as well. I just love the subtlety of the lighting and shadowing now. CSGO is kind of the end of that era where games were still a little bit fuzzy on the lighting, a little bit too dark. But this looks really light and natural. Oh, that looks really nice. Oh, the ambient occlusion is so clean. And this inner area here just looks fantastic. Just the shadowing, the wood materials. Some cool interactivity there. Again, makes the gun battles just feel a bit more responsive. But there's no ability to shoot out lights or anything like that. Just, again, it's very interesting to see what will interact with being shot at and what won't. For instance, the chairs are invincible, but the plant pots aren't. God, just looking there, you look at those chairs. Almost looks photorealistic. And also the gun as well. The gun looks really nice. The metallic effect on it. I think they updated CSGO's graphics quite a bit over the years, but it was still generally made at a time before physically based materials and stuff were really a thing, I think. And now they've come a long way, so it looks absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, if this isn't a lot of pre-baked lighting, then it's really clean real-time stuff for rasterization. Just really seamless to the outside area as well. It's just that the look of the lighting on that, the red bricks there, that sort of material, and the yellow here, just looks so good. Just hear a subtle bit of music in there as well. That's brilliant. You could have a 10-hour ambient video on this. Oh, someone make it, please. Of course, random chickens walking around. Alright, let's check out the next map. Here we are on Nuke, which again looks phenomenal just looking at it immediately. But the thing we want to look at here is the Molotov cocktail, which has the liquid physics that was seen in Half-Life Alyx. And look at that. Look how great that looks. You can just shake it up. There's even like a carbonated sort of effect in there as well. That just looks fantastic. That is so nice. I think that's an evolution on the liquid physics that were in Portal 2, which is even more advanced. I'd love to see how that's done, because it obviously can't be that computationally expensive. Is it even a physics thing, or is it just purely a shader thing that's just very, very clever? And look at the sun coming through it there. Oh man. Oh, that's so good. This game is so, so gorgeous. And let's get some fire effects. Let's just look really cool. Oh, the fire spreads a little bit. Look at that. That's so nice. So yeah, this texture here looks absolutely phenomenal. It falls apart a little bit as you get closer to it. But from about a meter away, 2 meters away, it looks gorgeous. I just really, really love the sort of attention to detail here. Again, some more cube map stuff going on. Look at these textures here. There's a bit of inconsistency with the textures. Some of the textures are really, really high res, like these down here. But then you have some that aren't as high res, which is really interesting. Again, a bit difficult to tell what's interactable, but oh, there's the interactive vent thing. I think you can get in there and actually hide in there. Oh, here we go. This should be, there we go, some of the new interactable glass. That looks really great. Oh, this area is cool. Oh, we're getting a bit lambda core. Oh, hello. Oh, there's no bullet holes in this glass here whatsoever. Oh, that's a bit of a missed. That's a bit of a missed one, isn't it? This door here doesn't get any. Oh, okay. So it looks like interactable things, like doors and that, don't get the effect of bullet holes. Which means you can tell whatever's no. Oh, hello. Nope. What's that? So it looks like interactable. Oh, wow. Okay. Ooh, hello. So interactable doors, they don't get bullet holes, but they do get damage. That's why you don't get bullet holes in it. I didn't even know about this. I've seen a few videos on CS2, and I didn't even know about this. Look at that. I think that might be the pre-computed physics that were first seen in episode 2, because there's no way to break it further than that. That is cool though. Yeah, it's a gameplay and a kind of graphical thing. Very, very cool. And here's the vents. Presumably we can get down to that little area where you can move the vents earlier, so you could sort of hide yourself. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, look. So you can kind of sneak through. No dynamic light coming in from that though, which again kind of backs up the pre-baked lighting thing, because you'd have a slight bit of shadowing coming through. Something would, as you open and close that vent, the lighting would change in here. It also appears there's kind of a fake kind of lighting in here, because it should be darker in here really, but obviously it needs to remain visible for gameplay purposes. Okay, on to the next level. And now we're heading on to my favourite level so far, which is Anubis. This level is my favourite because it has a lot of water effects. But also, it's just a very cool design. Being set in Egypt, get some really cool material effects. It's got very much that dust feel. But look at that. Oh, that looks so good. Some light water here on the floor. Again, cube mapped. There's something about these areas here where you got the sun being bounced in, and it just looks great. Just really realistic soft shadowing, ambient occlusion, like I say. Something very relaxing about it. I don't know what it is. Lovely shadowing up there as well. That's gorgeous. There's a slight muzzle flash effect, but it's not too noticeable. It doesn't have too much effect, so we can't really use that as a artificial light source really to check some of these things out. But here we go. This is it. This water here. Look at that. The water caustics, the reflection, that interactivity. Some really nice water effects here as well. Look at that. Oh god, it looks so nice. That reflection just looks so good. It's really nice cube map. This kind of reminds me of what one of the Unreal Tournament Egyptian maps could look like with a newer engine. Like if you had Unreal Tournament 5, you'd have like Osiris looking like this. And look at that as well. Oh man, that looks so good. And again, a bit more of the sort of mossy shader effect there. If that is a shader effect. Again, the only little missed detail there is that the spent casings don't make a splash when they land in the water. So there is an option in the graphics for HDR. High dynamic range. Controls the range of brightness between the brightest and darkest pixels. So I think this is actually high dynamic range rendering, not HDR output on the actual monitor, which is a bit weird because I haven't seen this option actually be in a game for a while. But you can set it to performance mode. Usually every game just sort of has HDR on, but the fact you can choose between it there, it's quite interesting. I think it's always using a HDR pipeline to render the game, but I guess you're just adjusting the quality of that. What we can do is we can go in here and get a nice view. We've got the bright outside, a bit of the darker inside. And this is with the performance mode on. And we're getting 265 FPS there. And if we turn it back on to high quality mode, that takes us down to 227 FPS. So yeah, it's a good 30 FPS cost. And the low end mode didn't look too bad either. So again, that's another way to really gain a lot of FPS. And in a bit, we'll check out the low graphics as well. In fact, we'll do that now. Let's go out to this water area again. I love this area in here as well. Just so nice. Oh, the sound effects are really good as well on the guns. Nice little MP5 here, looks great as well. So we're about 200 FPS with all high settings. Let's crank everything down to the lowest possible settings. So this is everything on low. Still rendering at native resolution, 390 FPS. And yeah, it doesn't actually look that bad, you know. Still got the water effects. Even with the nice little bubbles in the water there, which is again really, really cool. Still got the water caustics. The textures still look really nice. The lighting still looks really nice. Another setting that you don't really see anymore is allowing it to go down to bilinear texture filtering, which means the distant textures have a really old school sort of late 90s, 2000s sort of blur to them as you get further away from them. But even that isn't that noticeable here. You can kind of see it there, that kind of layered way it's going to the lower resolution bitmaps. It's been optimized in a way that it still looks great. So for those playing who want to get the absolute maximum FPS of the game out for competitive reasons, if you're streaming or anything like that, it's still going to look good. It's still going to look good. In 300, nearly 400 FPS here. There's even still some lighting coming off that water onto the gun here. The other thing to look at is actually the shadows. Like what I assume are pre-baked shadows. You can see the shadow map on the character there is obviously much, much lower resolution. If the shadows on the ground look the same, like here, which you'd think would be static, then we can probably guess that they're being pre-computed, I imagine. Unless they're treated in the same way as a texture, in which case they may change as you up the graphic settings. Anyway, nearly 400 FPS. Let's crank everything back up to maximum. Oh yeah, look, the shadows have improved on the floor there, and we're down to 212 FPS. See, this shadow here looks kind of blocky like it did. This looks way better, but that shadow there looks pretty much the same. So I'm wondering if a lot better as well. It could be that even pre-baked shadows are treated like textures and therefore look lower resolution when you set the settings lower, just to save on VRAM. So this area looks like it has a lot of ambient occlusion in it. Let's turn the ambient occlusion setting down and see if it changes. I'm guessing if it was pre-baked that wouldn't have an effect, but if it's not pre-baked then it would. So let's switch to the lowest possible ambient occlusion setting, and that setting is disabled, and it looks like there's still that ambient occlusion there on the corner. You can see it's disappeared completely on the gun and the hand of the character there, but it still looks like it's there on the actual geometry. So I'm fairly certain that is all pre-baked. Let's switch it back on again. Yeah, you see there's a little bit extra, like I said, definitely on the gun, but for the most part the actual static geometry still has it. As for these shadows, I'm not quite so sure. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. Because yeah, I'm guessing the lighting and ambient occlusion would be pretty heavy duty to do in real time at this level of quality. But maybe these shadows are just shadow mapped and it's not actually that much to do in terms of computation. Also could explain why the shadows do get fuzzier the further you walk away from them, as you can see there. Ooh, hello, this area looks great, doesn't it? So yeah, maybe all the shadows are being done in real-time shadow map, but the ambient occlusion and lighting itself, for the most part, has been pre-baked in. God, this looks good. Look at this texture here. The bump mapping on it. Oh. And that's why this is my favourite map. Oh. Anyway, on to the next map. Just the old classic, Dust 2. Again, with the pre-baked lighting and ambient occlusion. Looks phenomenal, doesn't it? Wow. Again, there's some bits you look at and it just looks kind of photoreal. Again, some lower res textures on the floor there. Ever since CSGO, these barrels just won't move anymore, which is fair enough. God, look how nice it looks down here. Like I said, they found a nice balance. They found a really nice balance. Oh, this area looks great. Look at that. Sort of lighting coming in through the dust there. Oh. Unfortunately, I think Dust 1 has been replaced by Mirage, which does have the, luckily still has the nice tiling on the floor. But there's something about the tiling on the floor in Dust in Counter-Strike Source that just looks so nice. That specular bump mapped effect. But luckily it's still a Mirage. So yeah, this is pretty much as you'd expect. Dust 2. Same layout, but just vastly improved graphics. Ooh, listen to that sound on the steps as well. The ambient sound as well. It's so nice. Just makes you want to explore around constantly and... yeah, like I said, get a 10-hour ambient video of these. Alrighty, on to the next map. Just another classic office. Let's see how the ice looks with the new engine. Some really nice snow effects here. Nice reflections in the windows. Really nice map to play around Christmas, or generally at winter. Again, you've got these kind of old classic sort of textures here, which is interesting, because like I said, some of the textures look really high res, but then some just look Half-Life 2 era. What we're going to do is get the grenade here and see how the grenade responds with the glass here. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's cool. The glass doesn't quite explode from the explosions as much as I thought it would, but still a very cool effect. Look at this wood here. It almost looks like it's from the 1.6 era texture. Look at that. So there's some odd choices, I think, with some of the textures. Because some of the textures just look gorgeous, and then some just look ancient. And there's still some like old Half-Life 2 sort of assets around here as well. In this area, it looks really nice. Nice real-time shadow from the character there, of course. So we've got, looks like, quite a bit more ambient occlusion in this area. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch the ambient occlusion to disabled again and see how it affects this area. Just so we can see how much is pre-baked. You can still see there's quite a lot of detail there. So yeah, I'm fairly certain that's pre-baked stuff. And you get a good 30 extra FPS. The only impact really is on the dynamic objects, like I said, like some of the physics objects that are movable. And or see the gun here looks really flat without the AO on it and the character's hands. Again, some more interactivity there, shooting holes in the snow. Very, very cool. Some interactivity with the computers here. Which is course, was always the case. So it's good to see they've got that in. Again, the textures seem a little bit low on here, but it's not too important. The snow effect is really good even when you get up close, but then the sort of bricks here, very sort of Half-Life 1-y almost. Really nice cube maps on the floor there. Snowman here, which I bet you can, yep, shoot, of course. Look at the sparks on that as well. Awesome. Let's check out the final map, which is Italy. Another map that instantaneously looks beautiful and is a big upgrade. The softness of the lighting. Yeah, that's pre-baked ray tracing, isn't it? It's gotta be. It's so soft. It's like the lighting you get in Metro Exodus with ray tracing. That kind of look where it's like the lighting and the ambient occlusion being calculated by the same algorithm. Soft, realistic, beautiful lighting. Looks so nice. You've got that ray trace look, but with the incredible performance. It's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. Look at this area down here. Just the lighting coming through the roof there. Again, same sort of thing. Nice cube maps on the floor. Nice textures. Look at that. Look at that. That looks almost pre-rendered. Oh man. Just phenomenal. So yeah, that is a quick look through all of the maps and how great they look with the new engine and that pre-rendered, baked in ray tracing, lighting and ambient occlusion. It's now time for just a little bit of gameplay. Again, I'm going to be terrible, so I'm just going to play against bots, but it would be good to just see how the game looks in action. Glock also looks really nice as well. This Glock model, I think it's the same one as in CSGO, just improved PBR. And of course lighting. Whoa! One thing I will note is that the bots don't seem as smart as they were in the older games. They just seem to all sort of wander in a row, which I get, because it's not really meant to be played against bots. That's just meant to be very, very, very casual sort of play. Well, maybe I've missed the setting, I'm not sure, but yeah, the bots don't seem great. I swear they were better in the old CS Source, but then maybe not. Oh god, look how nice this looks. Oh, the guns look so good. I love this area as well. Oh, the water ripples. Wonder if we can see the bomb explosion. Oh. Oh no. I thought they were all dead. Damn. Let's go for some weapons. Look at that nice lighting. Look at how the wood looks on the AK there. Just looks like photorealistic wood. I'm guessing all the enemies are just going to walk around this corner and nice stack again. The guns just look so good, don't they? Ooh. Animations are basically the same, I believe. Oh god, I love this room here. Need to not get distracted though. This sniper looks really good as well. Look at it, the AI all just pretty much go in the same direction and just stand there. That's brilliant. Oh, look at the AUG, the diehard gun. Look how nice that looks. Oh, that's nice. Ooh, yeah. Oh man, oh that is good. Just notice while recording this, there is a bit of SSR going on. You can kind of see the gun affecting the reflection in the water there, which is interesting. Because there is some SSR. Yeah, there you go, you can see it there. It's just used very cleanly and in the right way, so it's not too horrendous. It doesn't have loads and loads of reflections disappearing off screen, and there's just enough cube maps to account for it. I went about 190 then. Even then, that's still pretty much fine, isn't it? Oh, that nice explosion effect as well. Even if I was going to play this game online, I think I'd be too distracted by the graphics. I'll just get constantly killed for looking at water effects and lighting and stuff. I don't think FPS is going to be much of a concern for a 4090 on this. I mean, it's a relatively simple game graphically, and it's so well optimized. Oh yeah, look as they go under here. Look at them. Oh, that's so nice. As they go through the water there. Ooh. Ooh, that's good. That's really good. Oh, that grenade effect is so cool. Again, a slight chance that it's a little bit too cartoony. And there we go. Alrighty, so that was a look at Counter-Strike 2's graphics. They look absolutely incredible. And to be honest, I can't wait to see more games using Source 2. I loved it with Half-Life Alyx. It looks fantastic on this. Especially given that UE5 is a bit too overused, really. It needs a bit more competition. And also, who knows, maybe one day we'll get Titanfall 3 on Source 2. And they won't ruin it with microtransactions. But that's a whole different conversation. Anyway, links in the description to all sorts of descriptions on graphical effects. Some more details about the game. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments in the description. Do you like the new sort of art style and the new graphics they're going for here? If you're a more competitive player, what do you think of some of the changes they've made to the gameplay? Because that's not something I can really comment on. Do subscribe and hit the little bell. Really helps the channel. I hope everyone's staying safe, and I will see you in the next video.